G-Day, and welcome to the vast, sunburnt heart of Australia. This is a land of incredible beauty and unique wildlife, but it's also home to an unexpected giant, the dromedary camel. You might be picturing them in the deserts of the Middle East, but Australia is home to the largest wild camel population on Earth, numbering over 1 million. But here's the shocking part. Thousands of these camels are culled from helicopters every year. Why is this happening? What's the story behind Australia's helicopter massacre? Let's uncover the Outback's surprising truth. To understand why, we need to go back in time. Camels aren't native to Australia. They were first brought here in the 1840s from British India and Afghanistan. These weren't just for show. They were the 4x4s of their day, incredibly resilient and perfectly suited to the arid interior. These ships of the desert became essential for exploration, construction, and transport. They helped build telegraph lines, supply remote settlements, and even served in the police force, the Camels. Mostly men from what is now Pakistan and Afghanistan played a vital role in opening up the Australian outback. They were true pioneers. But then, the 20th century rolled in with cars, trucks, and trains. Suddenly, the once indispensable camel became obsolete. With their jobs gone, thousands were released into the wild. And in the vast, empty expanses of the outback, with no natural predators and an environment they were perfectly adapted to, their population didn't just survive, it exploded. From a few thousand, they grew to hundreds of thousands, and then over 1 million. It was a population boom of epic proportions, creating a problem that no one in the 19th century could have ever predicted. So, what's the big deal? A few camels roaming round sounds kind of cool, right? Well, when a few becomes over 1 million, it's a massive problem. These are huge animals, weighing up to 600 kilograms. An adult camel can drink up to 200 liters of water in just a few minutes. In a land where water is life's most precious resource, this is a catastrophe. They drain water holes, known as billabongs, which are vital for native animals like kangaroos, emus, and countless bird species. They're not polite about it either. They often damage wells, pumps, and water tanks, contaminating the water source for everything else. The damage doesn't stop at water. There are also voracious eaters. Feral camels strip vegetation bare, consuming over 80% of the plant species available. This widespread destruction of plant life leads to soil erosion and ruins the delicate habitats of native creatures. For indigenous communities who have lived in harmony with this land for tens of thousands of years, the impact is devastating. Camels damage culturally significant sites, trample sacred grounds, and threaten traditional food and water sources. They can even be a danger on remote roads and airstrips. What was once a symbol of progress has become a significant environmental and cultural threat. This brings us to the tough question: what can be done? Managing a population of over 1 million wild animals spread across 3 million square kilometers, an area larger than Western Europe, is an immense challenge. Several methods have been tried. Ground-based culling, where shooters work on foot or from vehicles, is one option. But the sheer scale of the outback makes this incredibly slow and inefficient. You simply can't cover enough ground. Another idea is mustering, which involves rounding up the camels to be sold for meat or live export. This is a complex and expensive process. While it has its successes, it barely makes a dent in the overall numbers. This is where the helicopters come in. Aerial culling is considered the most humane and effective method for reducing camel numbers on such a massive scale. Highly trained shooters in helicopters can cover vast distances quickly and target camels in remote areas that are impossible to reach by land. The process is strictly regulated to ensure it's as humane as possible. Shooters are required to pass rigorous accuracy tests, and the goal is to ensure an instant, clean kill to prevent any suffering. While the image of shooting animals from the sky is jarring, experts argue it's a necessary evil to protect a fragile ecosystem from total collapse. The debate is, of course, highly emotional and complex. On one side, you have animal welfare groups and members of the public who are horrified by the idea of culling. They argue that we brought the camels here, so we have a responsibility to find a non-lethal solution. They advocate for more funding into fertility control research or expanding the camel industry for meat, milk, and tourism. These are valid points. Can we turn this problem into an opportunity? A thriving camel industry could create jobs and provide a sustainable way to manage the population without widespread culling. Camel milk, for instance, is highly nutritious and gaining popularity worldwide. On the other side are the conservationists, farmers, and indigenous communities who see the devastating impact of feral camels firsthand. For them, it's a brutal numbers game. The longer they wait for a perfect solution, the more irreversible damage is done to the native environment. They argue that aerial culling, while tough to stomach, is the only practical tool they have right now to protect countless native species from extinction and preserve sacred land. They see it not as a massacre, but as a critical conservation effort, a form of triage for an ecosystem in crisis. It's a choice between one introduced species and an entire native ecosystem. So, where do we go from here? The Australian camel story is a powerful lesson in unintended consequences. A solution that worked for one century created a massive problem for the next. There is no easy answer. The future likely lies in a combination of methods. Aerial culling will probably continue to be a key part of the strategy for immediate, large-scale control. At the same time, expanding the domestic camel industry and investing in new technologies like fertility control could provide long-term, sustainable solutions. It's a balance between immediate crisis management and building a different future. The story of Australia's feral camels is a stark reminder of our impact on the planet. It forces us to confront difficult questions about our responsibility to the environment and the animals within it, both native and introduced. It shows that sometimes the most compassionate choice for the whole ecosystem can be the hardest one to make. The fate of the Outback hangs in the balance, and the helicopter in the sky is a symbol of that complex, ongoing struggle. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of Australia's most surprising environmental challenges. What do you think is the best way forward? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from around our incredible world. See you next time.